She is widely considered the First Lady of Wrestling, a trailblazer, manager, commentator, and one of the most iconic personalities of the 80s and 90s wrestling scene. Straight out of Jersey welcomes Missy Hyatt.
Zapata brand media in the building. NJ Roots, heavy bass feeling.
Welcome, everyone. I am Joe Zapata. Thank you for joining. Today's show is brought to you by Costa Nostra brand. That's going to be our brand. We're going to be sponsoring us. But today I'm going to bring on a special guest, First Lady of Wrestling, Missy Hyatt. How you doing, Missy?
Hi, I'm doing great. Oh my God, my hair was so blonde, and I'm looking at it now, and I got these blonde highlights, but my hair looks so dark. But it's not
So
that
dark. Wow. How you feeling these days? You look good.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I see you got a little. Is that your wrist got a little problem with your wrist? You got hurt?
Yeah, I had carpal tunnel surgery done on both wrists, but this one was done about a month and a week ago. This one was done about 3 weeks ago. This one's doing great, but this one's swollen. So they just sent me in a steroid pack that you do like 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, for 8 days or whatever, hoping to get the swelling and the pain down. Because for some reason, my primary care touched me. Oh my God, it hurt so bad. And she's like, you got carpal tunnel. I'm like, no, I just had surgery. She's like, no, you got carpal tunnel. So they just think it's maybe just not healing or some they don't, you know what? It's practice medicine.
Okay.
They only practice medicine. I don't think any doctor really knows what the hell is going on. So,
well, the first thing I want to talk to you about is what drew you into that crazy wrestling world.
Oh my God. Okay. So my dad was watching TV, he was flipping channels, and there was Michael Hayes on TV. Okay. And I was like, what is this? Wait, stop. My dad was watching. And I'm like, oh my God, I fell in love with wrestling right when I saw it on TBS Techwood Studios. Then I got to see Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Dusty Rhodes, and it was really Michael Hayes that it really got me like, oh my God, this is what I want to do when I grow up. I saw it and I was mesmerized by it. It was mesmerizing. And seeing Michael Hayes come out to the Freebird music and do his stuff was mesmerizing to me. And Tommy Wildfire Rich, like, people don't understand this, but like in the 80s, in the early 80s, Tommy Wildfire Rich was Mr. TBS.
Yes.
He was amazing.
He was all over the place. So how did you get the nickname, First Lady of Wrestling?
That was Gary Michael Capetta, the ring announcer. I was coming out to the ring and he was like, and the First Lady of Wrestling, Missy Hyatt. I was like, I like that. And I think it was a takeoff of Elizabeth, to like knock the WWE in a way.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I think he did that. But in all fairness, there has been valets since the 50s. We had Moolah managing the Elephant Boy, and then we also had the Sheik had his wife as slave girl, I think in the 60s, and then was also Sunshine. So really, to credit, it's really probably Sunshine, but I copyrighted and trademarked it, so I own it. So
wow, that's pretty
cool.
And
the name of my book was Missy Hyatt, First Lady of Wrestling Tells All. So
okay, is that available on Amazon?
For the last 36 years, I don't know, something.
Wow, that's pretty cool. So you were working with World Class at first? Was the first?
First place I worked was World Class.
And how was that working there? What was that like?
Wonderful. I mean, I really felt like a rock star. I mean, I would have these little girls follow me around at the malls. What are you wearing? Are you gonna get something for TV for Friday night? And I could call up a radio station and literally tell them what I want to listen to, and they'd play my music list. I mean, we were like rock stars. When we went to Israel, we had to have like 3 bodyguards each because the only thing on TV in Israel at the time was NBA basketball, educational programming, government stuff, and world-class wrestling. So it was totally amazing for me. I never, and being like, I got to work the Cotton Bowl. I forget how many people were there, but it was just totally amazing to me to get to feel like a rock star.
Then you went from WCW World Class to WCW, correct?
No, World Class to UWF.
UWF, and then WCW.
UWF, and then Memphis, then Alabama, and then WCW.
Okay, and when did you went to WWF for like a small period of time?
Yeah,
correct?
for like a week.
per league. So how
I
did
wish
your
I was
time?
on in '94 when I left WCW because I would have been more polished and known the business and known a little bit more, you know. But
Mhm. Yeah. Who was your favorite wrestlers to manage, and why?
it had to have been Hollywood John Tatum because the way we worked together was totally amazing. Like he he didn't mind sharing the spotlight with me, and our
Hmm.
chemistry was amazing. And he evolved into a great wrestler before his 1987 car wreck. He was a really good worker, and his facial expressions were just totally phenomenal. But John didn't mind. We played off each other really well, so he didn't mind me sharing the spotlight with me. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
other people they've had a problem with it, you know, but he didn't mind, and we worked together really well. And I wish I never would have broke us up together because I think we could have gave um, anybody a run for their money together.
Hmm. Well, you did commentary also, correct?
Yeah, for well, I did a little bit in UWF, and then
Okay.
when we got to WCW, I did it there too.
Did you enjoy being a manager or a commentator?
You know, to be honest with you, I like them both, but being a manager is to me, you know, like doing commentary, doing like the co-hosting part when you got to know the moves and stuff like that. I'm not like Excalibur at AEW. I was never that any good.
Hmm.
I prefer being a manager because I get the euphoric rush and enraging the people. Like when I worked for Game Changer a couple of years ago, and
Hmm.
me and like Christian got pelted with bottles and stuff after I swerved and hit Joey Janela with my purse at his spring break. And then we also in Florida, right before spring break, we did a thing that they thought Dan Hauser had won the world belt from Blake, and fans were hitting the ring and going crazy. And then Matt Cardona comes out there and switches it. Oh, we got
Oh,
pelted with stuff and booed. It was the best feeling in the world, man. I was just like, this is so wonderful. I remember sitting in the ring going, I love it. I love it. You know.
mhm. Were there any storylines you wish you can be more involved in during that time?
Oh my God. So many, so many. Like I wish that the Steiners, like we could have done a thing, but it wasn't the time for the Steiners to be split up. But we could have split up and Robin Green gone with Rick and me gone with Scott, or her go with
Hmm.
Scott, me. No, no, I said it right the first time. Anyway, you know, done the split, and we could have worked, you know, something had that. I always wanted to have an adversary. Like when Sherry told me, Sherry Martell told me she was coming to WCW, I got so excited because I was thinking, oh my God, I'll have a rival. I'll have somebody to
Hmm.
work against, you know.
Hmm.
She could be a baby face. I can be a heel with the Nasty Boys, you know, but that didn't happen.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
I,
there's been a lot of times, a lot of stuff that didn't happen that I wish would have happened.
mm. You know, behind the scenes in the locker room area, the locker room was a little bit crazy. I know that at times, right?
Which
Were you
locker room? Now,
well?
there's different crazinesses.
Well, you tell me, what was the craziest, the males or females?
Oh my gosh. You know what, I've never worked with a lot of females, so I don't know about that. Now I did work when we did Vixens, and working with females is so hard because one's having boyfriend problems, one's on their
Okay.
period, one's doing this, one's doing this. It's just so much chaotic and chaos going on. So I think the womanhood is worse. But the guys' locker room, like I used to have to change in the bathrooms that the fans used, and then
Oh,
sit in
really?
the corner looking at a wall, reading a book and stuff, because there was no dressing room for me in
Wow.
WCW or World Class or UWF. You know, they didn't have any room for me. So
Mm. Wow, that's crazy. Who was the
yeah.
like the toughest wrestler backstage that fans don't really know about?
Oh my God. Well, the toughest guy I know is Haku. I wouldn't. Fans probably know him too as being a tough guy, but that guy,
Correct.
he's strong. I wouldn't. Oh my gosh. If I needed somebody beat up, I'd call Haku.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jesus. Did you ever pitch any ideas or characters, storylines to the guys?
Yeah, if you did that to a booker, that would be like the kiss of death because they think that you're trying to either take their job or you're trying to build yourself up bigger or something like that. Like with Eddie and with when I was dating Jake Roberts. He was the booker at the time in Georgia, and he would run over things with me and ask me questions. So, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? What do you think about this? And so Eddie would do the same thing with me. And then Paulie and Eddie and me and stuff like that would talk about stuff on the road. That's why the guys are really missing out. A lot of the wrestlers nowadays are missing out because you learn so much being on the road together, traveling up and down the road, trips, talking and learning and hey, do you think if I tried this, would this work out? Hey, do you think if I tried this, what do you think about this?
Yeah, wow.
They don't get that anymore, and that's such a shame because that's a big part of the wrestling business that the new guys aren't getting.
Yeah, that's true. You don't watch any of the wrestling today, do you, or no?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love the new stuff. I love New Japan, AAA. I got an eclectic style of wrestling. Game Changer is my favorite.
Wow.
Phoenix Championship Wrestling's awesome. So Future Stars, I got Triller, so I get to watch a lot of stuff on there.
There's a kind of WCW, you were there, and the upper management there. There's rumors that you had some issues with them, like with Eric Bischoff. How was your relationship with Eric Bischoff?
Eric Bischoff crapped on me worse than a woman in a Vince McMahon 3-way.
Okay.
I want to use that line. Yeah. My calendar sold more calendars than the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. It was the #1 selling calendar in '94. My hotline made the company over $500,000 a year, and I was getting less than six figures. So, and he fired me. So it just goes to show you that, business wise, he's not very business. He's not very smart at business, and he killed WCW. So he's not very smart at business. So that's all I got to say about him.
Did you feel a lot of pressure being the only woman on screen, all the time?
Well, no, when they took me off air in '89 because of the booking committee, Eddie was falling out of favor, and they said my accent was too hickish and I was fat, and they sent me home for a while. And if it wasn't for Jim Ross, who said, I'm going to bring her back and she's going to be my co-host of the Sunday Night Main Event show, which was just a wrap-around, which was like a wrap-up show of the other shows. And he really stuck his nose out for me and really did an awesome thing for me.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
And he helped teach me a lot about cues and about, hosting and co-hosting and stuff like that. If it wasn't for Jim Ross, I probably wouldn't even be in the wrestling business still to this day. They sent me home and that would have been it for Missy. But Jim Ross, it really helped me. So.
Jim Ross, okay. We lost a lot of wrestlers, left and right, and we recently lost Hulk Hogan. Biggest star thing. Did you have any stories about Hulk Hogan?
Well, the only thing I can remember is that I went up to him, and I had written this down because I forgot what I had said. Hold on, where's it at?
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, when I met Hulk Hogan, I remember Vince McMahon's like, "Oh, here's the Hulkster," and I remember saying to him, and I was joking that my 34 double Ds will be more famous than your 24-inch pythons. And he laughed, and he got a kick out of that and everything. But that's really, I don't really know him that well, and I was really sad because he was only 71.
Yeah,
I'm 61, so I'm like, oh my God, I only got 10 years to live. That's how I think of it. It's really sad.
Also
without Hulk Hogan, wrestling could have gone by the side of roller derby or something. Who knows what would have happened to wrestling without Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Also, Buff Bagwell, he didn't pass away, but he lost his leg, and I know. That's pretty crazy, right?
That's really crazy. I got him into the wrestling business. He was my next door neighbor, and I'm so sad for him. I just hope I hope he'll be okay.
Yeah. I texted him the other day and he was doing well.
He'll get a prosthetic and he'll be okay. And never know, hey, Kerry Von Erich was in the ring with the prosthetic.
Yes, he was. Correct.
And all he has to do is do autograph signings and bookings like that. He doesn't have to get in the ring anymore. He's got a big enough name.
Yeah, he does. He's a really nice guy. Really nice guy. With all the other wrestlers that passed away, is there any death that hit you the hardest that you were like, I can't believe this?
Dusty always called me as Jane Mansfield because he said she was talented and prettier than Marilyn Monroe. That's what he told me. And he used to always come up. He would pitch these grandiose ideas that he would have for me. He envisioned some ideas that were like movie star quality storylines. Like he always had something for me, and it was mainly for a pop. Like I remember they threw me in water trough, a cold water trough in Wichita, Kansas. And it was during the fair. They were going to throw me into where the bull was, and I didn't know about this. And Abdul the butcher picked me up and threw me in the water, and it was all because Cody Rhodes was at home and he was sick with the flu or something, and so Dusty wanted to give him something to laugh about. So, I didn't know it was going to happen. You know,
Wow.
and Dusty would come up with all crazy things like having Stan Hansen chase me around. He was going to do something with Stan, take me out on a date, and there'd be like peanut holes on the floor and stuff like that. Take me to a country bar. He had come up with all these like crazy stuff like that, you know. I drove. I got up at 3:00 in the morning and drove, because it was about a 5-hour drive to Tampa for me to go to his funeral. And I pulled up and there was some guy there with a board with names on it. And I'm like, I didn't tell anybody I was coming, you know, but I pulled up there anyway. And I was like, hi. And this one guy behind me go, oh, that's Missy Hyatt. That's family. Let her through.
Oh, good.
And I was like, I didn't want to go like drive all the way down there and get there at 9:00 in the morning or 10:00 in the morning and be turned away, you know. But at least I got to be there, and the funeral was awesome, you know. And
wow.
I really, Dusty is one of those guys up there that, you know, besides like Jim Ross, that treated me really well.
Wow. Did you have any real heat with any other wrestlers or women, anything in the locker room?
Not that I know of.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Everyone seems to like you.
I hope it didn't. I mean, like, let me tell you something. Dark Journey. We worked together. We were really stiff. And, you know, we were told to go out there and fight like girls, and I was never trained. So that's what we did. And I've said a lot of bad stuff about her through the years, like a lot of bad stuff, which I really feel bad about. And I really want to take back, because someone would have told me in 1986 or 7 that I'd be 61 and me and Dark Journey would be great friends, and she'd be flying from California to come stay at my house, and then we were going to go to Panama City Beach for a couple of days. I'd be like, shenanigans, no friggin' way. No way that bitch is coming to my house. You know what I'm saying? But she's coming at the end of the month. And we did it last year. It's going to be like our yearly getaway thing, you know?
Wow. That's
so
pretty cool.
I love her to death now, you know?
Looking back, what do you consider your proudest moment in wrestling?
Oh my God, proudest moment? Maybe it was my mud pit match with Sunshine in front of like 26,000 people in the Texas Stadium. We were main event. Well, because nobody could go on afterwards.
Yeah, well, the
no
mud,
one
right?
wanted to wrestle in the ring after the mud pit match, but we were still main event. I was still main event there before. I remember they were saying, WWE was saying, the first time women have
I couldn't hear you. Sorry, you broke up there for a second.
That was my ENT because I have a thyroid problem. Anyway,
okay, no problem.
Oh God, what was I saying? Something about
your proudest moment. Yeah, Sunshine.
Yeah. They said WWE were saying how the first time that women have been the main event of a big show, and I'm like, no, that's not true. In Dallas, me and Sunshine were the main event at Texas Stadium at the David Von Erich Memorial. You know, so I put shenanigans on that too.
Is there one thing in your career you would redo that you didn't like?
Oh gosh, probably never date Jason Hervey, and not break up me and Hollywood John Tatum. I mean, we could have broken up, but not broken us up together as a team.
Yeah, Jason Harvey he seemed like a nice guy. I don't know.
Huh?
Jason Harvey seemed like a nice guy. I don't know.
He's the reason why I got fired, so he's not a nice guy.
Okay, well, I didn't know that. Yeah. What would fans be surprised that they don't know about you? Something they don't know.
Oh gosh, I'm a total history geek, and I've always been a history geek, and I love World War II and Civil War. I just got into the Civil War the last like 15 years, but before that, since I was probably about 14 or 15, I'd watch documentaries hoping to see my dad, because my dad was in the South Pacific in the Army Air Corps on sub patrol. And so I'd always be seeing if I see my dad, which I know I probably wouldn't, but I would watch the documentaries. But I got into it. My mom's German, but I got in, and I always wondered, growing up, Germany's our friend, yet we have to hide under our desk because Russia's going to drop the bomb on us any day. But they were our friends during World War II. And if it wasn't for us, we'd all be speaking German right now. Or maybe a little Japanese, but German. How did that happen? So I'd read and read and read. I love reading people's their diaries, people's books. I read like Americans, I read Germans, I read British, Australian, even I've read a few Russian accounts, from like Russian women. These women, they were called the what were they called? They used to fly these small World War I planes, and they would drop bombs out. They'd have to be dressed because it was so cold, but they would be all dressed like in layers and layers and layers, and there was no cover on the airplane, but they would go and drop bombs. They called them the witches. Wow. Witches, they could hear those small planes. They like the sewing machine witches or whatever they were called. But I remember reading the accounts of one woman that, it was done in English. I don't speak Russian or read Russian, but I love reading the accounts because you get to know really what happened about the war and stuff when you read first person accounts.
Wow. Didn't you dress up and do like Civil War, like reenactments?
Yeah, Civil War and World War II living history. I don't get to, now that I'm a barber, I don't get to do it as much, with juggling wrestling shows and doing barbering. Like last year, I got to do one World War II event and one Civil War event. And this year I have one Civil War event coming up that I know of that I'll be at Old Lusty. It's a big national event. There's like 5,000 reenactors there. They have horses and cannons and all kinds of stuff. So
if you weren't doing wrestling, what would you be doing for a living if you weren't wrestling?
I'd probably be a barber or a stylist. I don't know about doing women's hair because women are too picky and you got a lot of sharp objects and you mess them, they might stab you. You mess a guy up, they're so cool about it. They're like, it'll be okay in a week.
Yeah, you could do my hair if you want.
I'll wear a hat, You can't, it's like you can't mess up a guy too bad that you can't fix,
Yeah, exactly. What city was the rowdiest fans? Were like craziest?
Oh my God. It had to have been two places. Puerto Rico, one. They used to take batteries and put paper around them and then put lighter fluid on them and light them and throw them at you.
Oh my
God.
The
other place was El Paso, Texas. We were doing a thing like Sunshine, who was it? If Scott Casey beats Johnny, Sunshine gets 5 minutes with me in the ring. Everybody was hyped up to see the girls fight. And we had to make them sit down because when we were walking out to the ring, this is before there were like railings and all that around the ring. This is way before that. So we had like 6 cops around us to bring us out to the ring. And one of the lady cops had a shirt ripped. And they're like, we're not going out there. Forget it. They left us. And so they had to get on the microphone and said, everybody sit down or the match is not going to happen. So they made everybody sit down. So we kind of ran to the ring. We did our match. It was a screw job thing. And Johnny had to carry me. And he used me as a battering ram to get back to the dressing room. And I remember I came back, I had like nacho cheese, jalapeno peppers on me. I got a beer thrown in my face. I'm like, ketchup, gum, everything. It was great.
Wow. It's great.
Yeah, it was great.
What about with the wrestling fans? They ever get a little bit touchy feely and grab? You're a beautiful woman.
Well, I had a guy in Fort Worth grab the back of my shirt and rip it off.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and one of the guys that were walking us out to the ring, the Cowboys, and they had those satin jackets. He took a satin jacket off and covered me and everything.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah. Yeah. They used to get, like, if you watch the old David Von Erich Memorial, I'm out there managing before the mud pit match, and some lady just walks up and just whacks me with her purse. And I remember getting knocked down to the ground. And Scott Casey says, "Where's Missy?" Says to John. She says, "I don't know. Where is she?" And they had to come over there and find me. I was like, "Oh," like that. So.
Wow. Yeah. You ever get hurt really bad?
No, not by the fans.
No? Okay. I thought maybe you might have got hurt.
Yeah, pretty bad, but not by the fans.
Was there any wrestler that you saw that you marked out about, like saying, wow, starstruck?
Oh, well, yeah, Michael Hayes. When I
Michael
first met him,
P.S.A.?
I was starstruck. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Who else was it? I've been marked out by a few of the guys. Like, oh, Roddy Piper. I was so
Oh,
impressed when I met him and how nice he was. He was so genuinely nice to me. Because I was like, I was supposed to take over Piper's pit, but there's no way I could have
yeah, I
ever
heard that rumor. You were supposed to take that
done
over, right?
it. And he was just so nice. He
Yeah,
was
I heard you were going to take that over Piper's Pit, right? You were going to take
Yeah,
that
I was
over?
gonna take over Piper's pit. Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty crazy. What was Vince McMahon like? Was he pretty intimidating?
I remember him saying to me, this is what he said to me, and this was what, 1988, 87. And he
Hmm.
says to me, one day it's not going to be who versus who, it's going to be the brand, and they're not going to care about who versus who anymore. And I remember thinking there to myself, what an idiot. It's always going to be who versus who. That's what brings the people to the event. They're not
Hmm.
going to just because you have WWE up there. And I was totally wrong. He was right. You
Hmm.
know, now when they
Wow.
go SmackDown's coming to town, you'll see stars like this, but they don't put who versus who. They don't
No.
advertise who versus who anymore, really.
Hmm.
He
Wrestling
was
has changed today. It's really
a
different than it
brand.
was. It's
Yeah. It's
totally
changed a
changed.
lot.
Yeah. I mean, today's wrestling, do you think it's totally different now than when you were doing it?
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of it because they go over, they go over their matches like over and over and over and over and over, for like hours on end. And then when they go out there and they mess up, they don't know where to either continue or they go back. And I remember taking my girlfriend, my best friend Sherry, she's never seen a wrestling show, and I took her to a WWE show,
Mhm.
and we're watching, and they messed up a spot and they did it again.
Mm.
And
Okay.
she's like, they just mess up and do that again. I'm like, yeah. And if she noticed it, that means everybody noticed it in the ring, in the arena. But
Hmm.
I mean, they were young guys. I don't even remember who they were, and I'm sure they got yelled at about it when they got back, but by
Hmm.
the agent. But yeah, they
What
don't
did
know
you?
where, you got to listen to the crowd. You go by the crowd,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you judge it by the crowd, the heat and the baby face making the comeback and the finish and everything. I remember one of the when you asked me about one of my moments in wrestling, had to have been in
Hmm.
Valdosta, Georgia, in front of a really hot crowd. It was me and Adam Windsor. He was a British guy against Dory Funk Jr. And I
Okay.
remember that that crowd was hot, and I was wearing this little dress that had the Union Jack flag on it. And I remember I said, because we were losing, he was going to knock Adam out with, I forget, I don't know if it was the pile driver or what he did, but I remember I said to the referee, I go tell Dory to come after he beats Adam, have him come and pull me in the ring and pile drive me too. And he did it.
Oh
I called
wow.
the spot, and Dory Funk did it. And I'm
Wow.
like, oh my! I didn't realize it at the time. Like, who am I to be calling a spot to Dory Funk? But
Hmm.
he actually did it too, and it got a really great pop. Because I'm
Wow.
laid out, knocked out, and
Hmm.
everything. And I just felt the crowd, and I felt, what we should do.
Hmm.
And he
Um.
thanked me for it afterwards. He's like, "Oh, that was a really good spot to call." And I was like,
Wow, that's cool. That
"Yeah."
was really cool. What did like your parents think of you in the wrestling business?
Oh my God, they hated it at the beginning. I sent my dad because they couldn't get world class here in Tallahassee, but I sent him some videos and stuff. My dad's like, I can't watch people throwing beer and stuff on you. And my mom's like, why can't you be a good girl? And
Hmm.
all the time I was in WCW, my mom would ask me, why can't you be good? Why do you have to be bad? I go, Mom, I'm not really bad. I'm like kind of just Missy. And she's like, I know, but you play such a dumb bubblehead. And I go, yeah, Mom. I go, Susan Lucci's mom doesn't get on to her about being a bad,
Hmm.
about playing a bad girl.
Hmm.
That's my persona. That's my character and everything. She goes, well, people think you're really like that. And I'm like, well, everybody knows wrestling's not real, Mom. She goes, well, people still think you're like that. Bless her heart. Bless her heart.
Yeah.
They didn't
Um.
like it too much. But
Social media has changed everything. If you were in the 80s with social media, you would be so big and huge over
oh
because
my God, I couldn't imagine.
you know
I
because you know
got
you
some people that follow me on Twitter, and I don't even know why. but it just mesmerizes me that people want to follow me on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. It boggles my mind. It
No,
makes
you're
me
the
feel great. And I have these young kids coming up to me. I'll be at an autograph signing, like I have 90s Wrestling Con coming up.
Yes, coming to New Jersey.
Kids about 16, 17, they go, oh my God, Clash the Champions or whatever pay-per-view you were. And I'm like, you weren't even born then. How do you remember that? And they're like, oh, it was on the Peacock. I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Okay. Because Peacock runs all the old WCW stuff and everything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So,
They do. Which was your favorite promotion? Was it WCW? Was it World Class, UWF?
I think I have to go back to World Class only because that's where I started and they gave me my start and I really felt like a superstar there,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like WCW was so hard, just the politics and the meanness of people and everything. And World Class was so totally different, Carrie Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, they were wonderful. Carrie died too soon. That really hit me too when Carrie passed away because I loved Carrie and Kevin. They were cool.
The whole thing. Fritz ran that promotion, correct? Fritz Von Erich?
Fritz did. And we were trying to come up with my name. It was so funny. I was coming up with some stupid names like Constance. Trying to come up with a real rich, because I was supposed to be, they originally wanted me to be John's mother, like his stepmom. I married his dad, and his dad died on our wedding night. And John was his son. And so now I want John to be a champion. So he's going to call me mom or mommy or whatever. This was what they were going to do. But they wanted me to be the rich socialite that, whiny, complainy, blah, 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 blah. And they were trying to come up with a name. And finally, because everybody called me Melissa, because that's what I'm called, my real name. Missy was a nickname. And my parents called me Missy. And John went, Missy, come on, come up with something better. And then Fritz was like, Missy, what's your last name? I said, Hyatt. He goes, Missy Hyatt. I like it. Let's do it. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Missy Hyatt. Yep.
Yeah.
The Von Erichs, that's a tragedy with their family. I mean, did you see like maybe the depression or maybe something in the back that led them all to
remember the young one that had the car that had the
was it Chris?
What was it that usually women with periods the
Chris Von Erich? Which one?
No, not Chris. The other one.
Kevin, Kerry.
Not carpal tunnel, but he had that fever.
David, right? Was it David?
David was the first one to die, and then
it was David, Kerry, Kevin, Mike.
It was Mike. Mike had that. What was that disease that he was in the hospital for like 6 months for?
Yeah, I don't know.
It was that. I forget what it was. Anyway, I remember him. He had that shoulder problem, and I remember seeing him. He's like, "Oh, I wish I could get into production. I love doing videos. I want to do videos and productions. I don't really want to wrestle." And I remember him saying that to me, and I remember thinking how sad it was that you got to live up to your dad's expectations.
Yeah. Yeah. Was his dad very hard on him?
Who knows if he would have went to his mom and dad and said, "Hey, I really don't want to wrestle. I want to get into the production side of it," because it was the production guy that they had before that brought TV not in studio but made it at a wrestling event. And they also were the first people to use vignettes to like bring a heel in, like Gina Hernandez with Baby Doll coming in as a heel. Nobody did vignettes like that before. World Class did. I mean, they innovated a lot of wrestling.
Yeah. Was Fritz a little bit rough on them or tough on the kids or no?
I don't know. He must have been. I never saw it, but I never really saw or talked to him that much. I talked to David Manning and David Manning and Ken Mantell the most.
Oh, okay.
I dealt with them, the Booker and David Manning. So,
yeah.
I only dealt with Fritz a few times. And he was always paid honestly. He paid fair. You got paid by the house, and it was awesome.
How tough was the traveling for you? Traveling each time?
It was great. We were home almost every night in our own bed. We'd be
Oh,
Friday
wow.
nights at the Dallas Sportatorium, Monday nights in Fort Worth. Then in between that, it'd be at spot shows all around the Dallas Metroplex, Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex. And then once a month, we'd go to Abilene, not Abilene. I'm sorry, I take that back. I got arrested in Abilene, but yeah, for inciting a riot because I
Oh
was
my.
so crazy at ringside. The cop took me to jail. I was like, I was just doing my job,
Wow.
I had to pay $150 to get out of that one.
Oh my
But
God.
it was Lubbock and Amarillo. We'd do like once a month in El Paso. We'd fly to that, fly to
Okay.
those shows. But most of the time we were at homes in bed, unlike the UWF schedule, which was really, really a rough schedule. A
Really?
lot of hours in the car.
What about WCW? Their schedule tough?
Well, I mean, it was tough for the guys. Yeah, they were flying all over the place. I just, when I was managing, I never really had to manage full time. I was managing for TV only, so I just did TVs and stuff. And then when I was hosting the show, I was working like once a week, doing the host, and then I'd work the pay-per-views or the Clash of the Champions too. So
Okay.
it was
Who
enough
would
to
you
give me a million miles on Delta. So
who would you consider your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers? There are four biggest wrestlers in the world. Who would you think would be Mount Rushmore? Would you
oh my
put
God,
Flair?
well, I would put Paul Heyman because
Paul
he's
Heyman. Okay.
damn smart.
Okay.
But and I know a lot of the younger wrestlers don't like Hogan because of the video that came out with him
Yeah.
being racist slurs and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I still would put Hogan up there, and
Okay.
Paul, and probably Tommy Wildfire Rich because he was Mr. 80s. He was Mr. Cable TV. I mean, this
Yeah.
is my Mount
Yeah,
Rushmore.
that's yours. Correct.
And I would probably put Dusty Rhodes or
Yeah.
Michael Hayes.
Michael Hayes. Michael P.S. Hayes or Dusty Rhodes?
Michael Hayes or Dusty. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
At 5.
No, that's fine. That's 4. That's fine. But yeah, but those are good. Those are good ones. People, they're gonna love that.
Yeah, I think so.
Also like the Von Erichs, they were so over in world class,
Oh
right?
my gosh, it was amazing. Like, I know that it was so amazing that I could go into any club, anything when I was on World Class Wrestling because it was such a big, watched product in the Dallas Fort Worth area
Yeah.
and the Houston area that, we could get into any club, any country club because John liked to play golf, anything wide open doors to us. We were like rock stars there. But the Von Erichs, I mean, just Carrie walking down the airport, if you didn't know he was a wrestler, you would think, who is that guy? He's either a football player, he's an actor. Who is he? Is he a superhero?
Mm-hmm.
He's somebody.
Mm-hmm.
The way
Yeah.
he carried himself. He was
Wow.
somebody.
Yeah. The
All the
Freebirds.
Von Erichs were there.
Yeah, all the Von Erichs were. The Freebirds, Michael P.S. Hayes, you talk about them. The Freebirds were pretty crazy. They like to drink, didn't they?
Oh, yeah, yeah. And if you've been pissed on by a Freebird, that's a good thing, supposedly. That's what I heard.
Yeah. Wow, they're crazy, those Freebirds.
Yeah, I love Buddy Roberts. He was such a wonderful, wonderful guy. And Michael Hayes, Michael Hayes, I remember being in UWF going up and down the roads with him and Johnny and me because Johnny and Michael were really good friends. They grew up together. And back in wrestling times, like it was hard to get into wrestling. You had to be related to somebody, married into the business. They just didn't let anybody into the business. And, Michael got in and then got Johnny in. And Michael got in because of
How did Michael get in? Someone else?
yeah, it was oh my God, who was it? I can't remember at the time right now. But
Okay.
he got in because of somebody else out of Pensacola. That
Okay.
Pensacola connection. There was always like you had your Minnesota connection, you had your the different and the Tampa connection. How you would get into the business. But I forget who it was now. They were just telling me that not that long ago, and I was like, wow. But
Wow,
yeah,
that's pretty.
you had to be related. You had to be something, to get in it. But going down the road with Michael and having Michael, I would be sitting there, Michael would be behind me and John driving, and Michael would be rubbing my shoulders. And I just never remember thinking to myself, it's like, He was the reason why I got into wrestling. Now he's rubbing my shoulders. Who's better than me? Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
I
lot.
wanted to. Yeah, that's crazy. I want to touch base. You were married to Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, he actually died early too, young. It
Right.
was kind of happy and everything.
Yeah.
How was he as a person? If you can.
As a wrestling person, he eats, sleep, and drank the wrestling business. I bought him a boat because I wanted him to have something. I had a horse at the time, so when they took me off TV, I just went and rode my horse every day.
Oh wow!
And I had something else. This is before I got into reenacting. If I would have had a reenacting, then I'd have been like, just send the check to the PO box, and I'm gonna go reenact. I'm gonna get the whole thing, go reenact all over the world. All over the United States. But I had my horse and everything, but he took the boat out maybe twice. It was a boat that he could fish off of and everything too. But he was just so enthralled in wrestling and conspiracy theories and this, that, and the other that, it was just too bad for him. And that's what broke our marriage up.
Yeah.
So.
He was very smart to the wrestling business, they said. He knew the business. He knew the business very well, they said.
Yeah. Well, he grew up around it. His dad was a wrestler and his grandfather was a wrestler. His grandfather worked in the carnivals.
Wow. That's pretty crazy. Do you ever think about going back to the WWF today or no, WWE today? Would you ever consider going back?
They wouldn't hire a 61-year-old woman for the first
I know, but
maybe if I went and got a facelift, I don't know. Brow lift, facelift, and an ass. I really like to have a butt because I have no butt whatsoever. But,
you still look great, though. You still look great.
I wasn't asking for a compliment, but thank you. But no, they don't want a 61-year-old woman. What really hurts me though is that, like, I could agent. I could be like one of the guys in the back that helps do stuff.
Yeah.
But they just don't have women do that because they don't think women know the business or
no.
Exactly.
Did you watch the Netflix documentary on Vince McMahon by any chance?
No.
What do you think about any of that stuff with Vince McMahon going around in the back? All those allegations. Do you know if you think about
a woman?
Yeah.
I believe it's true. I believe every bit of it.
Yeah.
I believe every bit of it. After my dealings with him, I believe every single bit of it. And I know he paid more for sexual relations with other women than he did for WCW.
Wow. That's crazy.
I know.
That's unbelievable.
I wish I had that much money out there that I could throw around.
Well, Missy, where are you going to be coming up? You're going to be in
I'll
New
be
Jersey?
doing the 90s Wrestling Con in a couple of weeks in Parsippany, New Jersey.
Yep, I'll probably be there.
Coming up, I'll be at Phoenix Championship Wrestling.
Okay.
And then I have the 90s Wrestling Con, and that's in like 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks now. And that's it. And then I'm also having in November, I have the WrestleCade, is it? That's in Winston-Salem.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm talking? Is it WrestleCade?
WrestleCade, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Okay.
WrestleCade.
Yeah, and then I'll be there.
Yep. And then you're at the Real Missy Hyatt on social media at Instagram?
Right, the Real Missy Hyatt on Instagram, and then just Missy Hyatt on X.
On X, correct.
Or whatever you call it now. I'm not sure.
Well, Missy, thank you so much for doing this. We will do it again. You were the best, telling me all these stories and crazy. Yeah. Thank you so much, Melissa. I will talk to you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Started from nothing. Jersey streets, we owned it. Jay-Z pumping